So now we're going to make the skirt with the godet and the pocket. So let me show you how we do that. So if you remember, we marked on our pattern, or we have, there's my waistband set that aside. Here's our godet. And we marked on the pattern where the godet was on the fold. So the instructions on the pattern say to cut up this line, up the center of this. So you're basically just going to take your scissors and make a straight cut. I'm just going to leave it folded. It's the best way. Okay, take my, so then I'm going to grab my clips. And basically I'm going to do I'm going to clip the first side, I'm going to sew it, and then I'm going to clip the other side and sew it. That's going to ensure that I have the best laying triangle on here. So I'm going to start at the bottom and match the bottom seam, and then make sure not to stretch this at all, and just clip as you go. Then you're going to sew it, and then we'll come back and do the other side, and then sew it and see what our final product is. And you do want to just do one side at a time, and you can do this on your sewing machine, or you can do it on your serger like I'm gonna do. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna start at the top and just make for sure this is lined up, and I'm gonna lift my presser foot up and put it down right at the seam where I want it to go. I'm gonna put it right under where I want it to start. And take this clip out. So it'll start there, and then okay, so now we have the one side sewn. So I'm just going to go to the other side, and I'm going to start from the bottom on that side as well. And the reason why I do that is because that's going to ensure that I'm going to get exactly how it is on the other side if I start the same way. If I start from the top down, it may not lay exactly the same. And you really want to make sure it lays the same, or else it's going to be a crooked godet, and you don't want that. Okay, so I'm just laying it and clipping. And this is a single brushed poly, so it is a little bit more slick on the one side, so just keep that in mind. And as I get up to the point, I'm just going to kind of fuss with it just a little bit. And it's okay if it isn't matching, like you can see it's not matching up all the way. That's okay, because it was just like a cut that I made myself. So, I mean, based on the pattern, but if it doesn't match up, that's okay too. So I'm just going to put this in my machine this way. So now the skirt is on top and the godet is on bottom. I'm just going to fuss with it a little bit to make for sure I get it in there exactly how I want it, and I don't have any tucks. It may take a minute. so our godet is done. So now we have like this extra little kick godet pleat. No, it's not a pleat, but it's extra width to the bottom of our fabric, which is super fun. Okay, now we're going to do the pocket. And you, on your pattern piece, it shows you where the pocket is. So you have that marked on your front and your back pieces. So I'm just gonna mark each side. My double brush, or my brushed side is sticking together a little too well today. Okay. So what you're gonna do is you also marked on your pocket piece which part was the top. So you want to put right sides together. So the pattern side, which is the right side, this is the wrong side of your fabric. And if you have a solid fabric, you can usually tell, because you can tell which way the knit weave is going, on which side is the right side versus the wrong side. And what we're going to do is we're going to put them right sides together. So this is the top. So I'm going to match this up here and clip it or pin it down. And I'm going to do this to each piece, sew it on, and then show you exactly how to go around that curve and everything while we're going, okay? Okay, so now we're going to sew these on, and you're going to just sew the straight part here. So you're just going to start at the top and then sew to the bottom of each pocket. So see how I just sewed the pocket on? Okay, I'm going to do that to the other three, and then we'll come back and show you how to sew the side seams. Okay, so now our front and our back have the pockets sewn, but it's just an empty pocket or a pocket flap at this point. So now what you're going to do is you're going to go right sides together, and you're going to sew your side seams. So we're going to clip, find your pockets. Easiest thing to do is find the pocket and match the pocket up, because that's what you want to really match up. The top and the bottom you can adjust at the hem if something happened, if maybe one pocket is slightly higher than the other or what have you. But the best thing, so match up your pockets, and just gonna go around and clip all the way around the curve of your pocket, making for sure not to stretch anything out as you go. And just match the curve and clip. And it's really good to clip, you know, be generous with your clips and use them as many as you need, because if you feel like your fabric's a little slippy or you know, is giving you a bit of a struggle, just use a few more clips, and that should really help things go smoother, especially when you're sewing. Okay, so then you're going to clip down the side seam, and I always like to go to the hem and match up at the hem, and then adjust accordingly. Sometimes when you cut a pattern out, you may accidentally, your fabric may shift or your pattern may shift, and you may find that, you know, the front might be a little longer than the back or what have you. But if you match that bottom up, then you can kind of pull a little and stretch a teeny bit. If it's a massive difference, then you can't make it work, and you would need to recut or figure that out. But if it's just a tiny bit difference, you can just kind of work it into the seam and it won't be noticeable at all. And by tiny bit, I mean like centimeters, not even inches, like centimeters worth of difference. And I'm using a lot of clips with this fabric because it is slippy on this one side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pin my other side, and then I'll show you how to serge this and sew around that pocket. Alright, everything is clipped, so lots of clips weighing down our side seams and our thing. So we're going to start at the top and go to here and then curve and go around this circle. Now, just like when you're driving and you're going into a curve and you kind of turn into the curve, that is the same method you apply to driving, you apply to serging with this curve. That's the best way I can explain it. I'll just kind of show you as I go. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. I'm going to try and maybe get a little bit more height so you can kind of really see exactly what I'm talking about as I'm going along. Hopefully that's enough to see. Okay. So I clipped the heck out of these because I did not want slippage. So the pocket's up higher, so, or not up higher, but it's just up close. So when you get to this first part, you're just gonna kind of turn it. Don't be afraid of your serger. You're not gonna get your finger in that knife. And go slow. Turn into it. Okay, and then you're going to get back to this point over here and you're going to have to turn again because it's at an angle. So just keep an eye on what I do. So it kind of, as I start to get there, start to make this straight again. And then sew down. And I do always leave my blade on, and it cuts off as I go. And you don't backstitch on a serger, but we're gonna hem this anyways, so this is not going to unravel. I've never had any serging like spontaneously unravel on me. It just doesn't happen. And don't worry if your seam looks wavy now, just hit it with a little bit of steam with your iron, and it'll come right out, okay? So now I'll show you what we look like. Now we have a pocket. Ta-da, pocket. Okay, I'll show you one more time on the other side. So we'll start at the top. And it comes up pretty quickly, so just be paying attention. And you're kind of start to make this, just like we do at the bottom, kind of make this straight with it. And then as you start to get to the curve, start curving your fabric with it. And go slow if you need to. not a race. Turn your fabric as you go. Okay, now we're starting to get back to our bottom. That would be this way, but you're not going to be able to turn. So as you start to get there, kind of start to make it straight. And then sew down the rest. And there you have it, your second pocket. And see what I mean? Like how you want to make for sure your pocket goes the right way, so then it lays like that. Okay, now we're going to put on the waistband. The first step you need to do is to sew your waistband. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this back center seam. So a good rule of thumb when you're sewing a waistband, a neckband, is to separate it out into 4 sections. It's just easy to work with. If you need more, you can separate it into 8. If that doesn't feel comfortable for you, if you feel like you need a little bit more. I always just separate into 4 sections. So the center back seam, and then I'm going to find, just by folding in half, the center front. Now I'm going to bring these 2 together, and I'll find one side. Just going to match these up, and I'll make for sure this is accurate. Clip it. If you've ever heard the saying, measure twice, cut once, it's a good saying for something like this. Just, you know, you want to make for sure it all is as equal as possible. Match this up, it's halfway. So on your skirt, because it has side seams, you're not going to have to match those up. Just make for sure you have the top and not the hem. So all you need to do is bring your side seams together and then find the front and then find the back. Okay, the back is where your godet is, so you want to make for sure that you put that center seam, the one that you just sewed, on the back clip. You don't want to get that mixed up. I mean, if you did, it wouldn't be the end of the world, and you can. Some people like to put this on the side, and that's fine too. You really wouldn't want it on the front, but if it did happen, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But I like to have it on the back because then it just helps me know, like, that's kind of where the back of it is, since I don't have a tag. So now I'm just matching going around to my clips and matching up each clip. So now my 4 parts are equal on my skirt and on my waistband. and I'll be able to stretch my waistband as I go around my skirt. So I can just stretch it to match in each section, and I'm going to add more pins, clips, kind of as they go. This fabric is so pretty. I love it. It's a good one for a nice summery skirt. I'm just kind of pulling and clipping, pulling and clipping. Stretching, I guess I should say. Okay, and now we're ready to sew it on. Now, before I get to that, when you have a circle like this is a big circle. However, if you were to have a cuff or a neckband that's a little bit smaller, there's no way you're gonna get that around this part, especially if it's a cuff. It won't go all the way around. So the best thing to do is to sew on the inside circle. What I mean by sewing on the inside circle is this. So your garment is inside out, even if it was right side out. But this waistband is a circle, right? So you have inside the circle here, and you have outside the circle here. And you're gonna sew on this inside circle. So basically, when you put your garment on the machine, you're gonna put it to where the inside of the circle, or the outside of the circle, is on the machine, and the inside of the circle, the presser foot, lays on the inside of the circle. So you always want to make sure you sew on the inside circle. This will help to where as the machine sews, it goes around like this, and you can see, so those tiny baby cuffs are no longer a problem because you're sewing like this on the inside of the circle, and you can get all the way around it instead of trying to sew it upside down or like this to where now you can't see, or trying to get it to go all the way around the arm of your serger or your sewing machine, because sometimes those little cuffs can be really small. It's just not possible. So for this skirt and for all the waistbands, neckbands, cuffs I do, I always sew. It is the correct way. It's not just the best way, but it is the correct way to sew on the inside circle. So watch. Okay. So we've already established this is the inside. I'm gonna get to my back. I always start at the back seam. I'm gonna lay it like this. This is the inside of the circle. This is the outside of the circle. So I'm going to lay the outside of the circle. Just trying to make sure everything's lined up. Okay, on the machine, right? Go a little bit. With my presser foot, the presser foot is gonna go down on the inside circle. So the outside circle is on the bottom, the inside of the circle is on under the presser foot. And I'm gonna start. So as I start to sew, you'll see it'll all come back around, and I can see my circle the entire time, and everything that I'm sewing, I can see. Everything stays on top. It's all nice and clean. I can see exactly what I'm doing. I'm not having to guess. Is something going the right way? My My waistband is where I need it to be. This is kind of a bigger circle, so it's kind of hard to understand or maybe see exactly what I mean, but you see how my serging came back to me? And it's all laid in here nice and flat. And all looks really good. Okay, now to the hem. So we used our sewing machine on the first one. So for this version, we're going to use what's called a cover stitch machine. And it may not be a machine that a beginner sewer seamstress would have, but it is something maybe you can work up to. It's a little bit higher price-wise, but it is an amazing machine. And basically it's a finishing machine, and it's gonna do our hem for us. Well, I mean, I'm gonna have to do it, but it's gonna make it look really nice. So for this machine, you sew kind of blind, and you can press beforehand or just kind of eyeball and feel. I go by the feel method, but it is, if you're a beginner, it is a good idea. You can take your measurement and go up 1/2 inch or so. Let me use this. This is about 3/4 inch, which is probably good. Probably even an inch is a good amount to do for this hem. Go up about however much you want to put your hem, and press all the way around your skirt, and that will ensure a really good hem. Okay. So, but I'm just gonna eyeball because that's what I do. Okay. Putting it here. Put it down. Now we're at the godet. go. Now, because this is knit, and the nature of knit is that it doesn't ravel, you definitely do not have to hem. And I used to do that a lot, just not hem at all and leave things unfinished. And then I got this machine, and I really love to finish off everything now, especially like my neckbands and sleeves and everything. So I tend to hem everything these days, but if you don't have this machine or don't feel like doing it, but this is basically what it does. It's 2 lines of stitching on one side and kind of looks like serging on the other side. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that whether you are a beginning seamstress or you've been sewing for many, many years, that maybe you learned something or took something away from this video. I had a great time sharing all of the wonderful new tips and tricks that maybe a beginning seamstress has never heard or done before. Hopefully you'll be able to walk step by step through this video and be able to come out at the end with a brand new skirt that you're very proud of. This pattern again is the free coffee break pattern from CKC Patterns, and you can find it on their blog. If you go back to the beginning of the video, it shows you exactly how to obtain the pattern, and it'll also probably be in the description of this video as well. But in case it's not there, the best way to do is to go to ckcpatterns.com and go to their blog and type in coffee break, and it'll come up for you. In this video, we learned how we sewed 2 versions of the coffee break skirt. First one, we put elastic in the waistband and did the split in the skirt, which is so cute and so fun. And there's 2 levels. You can do a lower one or a higher one depending on your comfort level. And then we also did pockets, the godet, and a regular yoga waistband. That is all explained in the pattern itself. I really had a great time with everyone, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Happy sewing.